Hey, everybody. This is Victoria English, top coach with Project 90. Thanks for being here today. Today, we are going to talk about a tale of two people and just a couple of stories to tell you. We're going to compare and contrast, if you will. So I hope you'll enjoy listening along. And of course, my intention is to teach you a thing or two. See what you come up with. Draw your own conclusions from the stories I'm going to share. But before we get started, you know, over here at Alcohol Free Lifestyle, we love to give away free stuff. So if you haven't done so already, which if you've heard me before, I hope you've gotten this done. If not, no biggie. I want you to get your hands on the Alcohol Freedom Formula, an absolute gem created by our own fearless leader, James Swanwick. Head over to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/guide. You'll get a download. It's free. Pretty sure you're going to enjoy it. If you are a high performer, what's a high performer? Well, a high performer is anyone who is performing at a high level in any area of life. You might be a high performing parent, or maybe you're not as much as you know you could be because of alcohol. You might be a high performing employee, employer, CEO, entrepreneur. You might be all of the above. Certainly, most people listening to this are performing in a lot of arenas, wearing a lot of hats. So yeah, maybe you're a parent. Maybe you're still working from home, juggling all that, or maybe you're back in the commuting world. Whatever it is, I know you've got a lot on your plate. I also know that if you're listening to this podcast, that like me, back when I was drinking, you're doing pretty well. You also know you could be doing better if you could put this darn alcohol in its place, right? I get it. So yeah, if you're ready for that, if you're one of those high performers and you're ready to put alcohol in the back seat, get in touch with me. You can speak to me, Victoria, directly about possibly joining Project 90. You know, we curate a community of like-minded individuals, not just a bunch of people who have this alcohol thing dragging them down. Like-minded individuals. So if you would like to have that call with me, again, it's free. Go to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/schedule. I'll give you a call. We'll have a chat, see if we're a match. So back to story time. Let's talk about someone named Joe. Joe started using cocaine, let's say 6 months ago. And Joe tried it, wasn't sure what to make of it the first time. It made him feel pretty good. Definitely had a downside to it. Maybe he woke up and said, well, that was great, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to do that again. Well, Joe's environment is one where that's just part of the scene. You know, Joe's not some like bottom rung type of person. It just is part of their thing. Maybe the families get together. Maybe he hangs out with his buddies now and then. And, you know, it's all fine. I mean, yeah, there's kind of a stigma to it, but you know, it's in the circle he runs in. So he starts using it. Not very often. He could take it or leave it. Then time goes on. You know, nothing has changed in Joe's life. He's still got his great job, still has his family. Things are good. There's really nothing wrong. It's not making a dent in his career or his even his wallet, really. He can afford it. But he's noticing that he thinks about it more. It's kind of creeping into his thoughts. And he's like, whoa, what's going on here? But I mean, again, nothing's wrong on the outside. Everything is good. He's just thinking about it more than he probably is comfortable with. Well, then Joe starts doing a little more often, like during the week. Maybe he has some residual effects and it's, you know, affecting his ability to get a good night's sleep. Maybe it's causing a little bit of trouble at work. He's not quite as on as he should be. And when I say on, I'm not talking like an amphetamine on. I mean, just not where he knows he should be, even if it's high, right? Maybe not hungover, but high. And of course, when the drug wears off, he feels terrible. And then his work is definitely suffering as well. And maybe it's causing some issues in his family. Even if they can't put their finger on it, they just know something's off with dad. You know, something's not right. He's up, he's down, he's not around as much as he used to be. And when he is, he tends to be irritable and short. Maybe it's affecting his marriage. You know, even if the wife isn't sure what it is, she just knows that this person with whom she shares a life is changing. She doesn't like it. And she's like, hey, listen, something's got to change. I'm not quite sure what's going on with you, but I want the old Joe. I want the old Joe back. So Joe says, all right, you know what? That's it. I'm going to take a break. I'm not doing it again. So he takes a break. But then he's at a party or he's bored and he finds himself doing it again. And before he knows it, he's back to that same habit. He's doing the same thing again. The shame is terrible. The impact on his family is measurable. Maybe his career is still going well. Maybe he's still got money, but there's that nagging sense that this is taking up a lot more space in his life than he ever intended. Well, maybe then down the road, give it another month or two. He's now at 6 months and he's in addiction. He is in cocaine addiction and he knows it. So he says, you know what? I can't do this on my own. I'm going to lose too much. I cannot do this. That's it. So Joe gets some help. He meets with other people who may have this problem. He does work on himself and he figures out why, how did he ever get here? Like, why was he the type to ever become addicted in the first place? And then, of course, he figures out, well, because it's cocaine. It's addictive. I did it enough times under the right circumstances. And yeah, so it goes with drugs. I got hooked. And it's only natural that I would need help getting out of this and reclaiming my life. Okay, good for Joe. Joe goes on to reclaim that life and even has a greater appreciation for the good things that he has going on. Conversely, his family and friends, once they are aware of his issue, like really aware, they say, oh, thank goodness, Joe. Yeah, go get help for this. And of course you got hooked on it. It's a drug. Yeah, go get that help. And maybe they're hurt, maybe they're sad that this ever happened. And yeah, there's some repairs necessary. But everyone gets it, you know, hey, these things happen and go get some help and just put it behind you. Do they say to Joe, hey, why don't you just figure this out? Like, what in the world is wrong with you anyway? How'd you get addicted? Gosh, can't you just like stop? No, they don't say that. They support his efforts to get the help he needs. Do they say to Joe, okay, Joe, good for you. You quit using cocaine. So at Christmas, are you going to use cocaine? Like a line or two? Can you still have a line or two on weekends? Well, what about on New Year's Eve? Are you going to use a little bit? Of course not. So you know where this is going. I'm going to come back to alcohol. Let's talk about what does maladaptive alcohol use look like compared to a drug problem? Well, I looked it up. Let's look at signs you may have a drug problem. You use the drug even when you say you won't. You say you're only going to use the drug in small amounts, except you don't. You use too much of it. You keep using the drug even though it's making some bad things happen in your life. like trouble with friends, family, or work. When the drug wears off, you feel depressed, ashamed, nauseous, headachy, and tired. You need more of the substance to get the same effects, like a tolerance. You can take more of it before you feel the effect. Maybe in the past, you could only use a little bit and get the effect, but now it takes more. You have trouble remembering things. You've lost interest in things you once liked to do. Maybe you feel like the color's kind of been drained from life. The buzz from the drug is not as enjoyable as it used to be. You know that the cost outweighs the benefit, but you keep going back to it. You make light of your using. You minimize it when people tell you that your using makes them unhappy. You look different. You may have gained weight or lost weight. Your eyes are bloodshot the next day. You might engage in some risky behavior, like driving after you've used your drug. You're having trouble getting along with people. People don't trust you at your word because you've broken promises too many times. That's under a search for signs of drug use, signs of a drug problem. That's under signs of a drug problem when you look online. Does that sound familiar? So I pose this question: how is alcohol misuse any different than drug misuse? Why does society tell us that this is a drug we are supposed to use? In fact, on the bottle of whatever you're drinking, it says, drink responsibly. If cocaine could be sold in the stores and it said, snort responsibly, can you imagine how that would go over? The madness that would imply? Snort responsibly. Oh, okay. The difference is legal companies get really, really rich off of us using their drug. It's not a cartel. People aren't running, bootleg like they did during Prohibition. Nope. It's up on the biggest screen at the Super Bowl. It's the most expensive commercial you can get during the Super Bowl. Ooh, yeah. The Budweiser ad. Let's celebrate the new Budweiser ad this year. We don't do that around cocaine. So is it worse? Tell me, is cocaine worse? Aside from the fact that to get cocaine, you have to go to some seedy thing, or maybe you don't. I don't know, depending on the circle you run with. I mean, I've known of some pretty, I'm from Miami. I've known of some pretty high-end neighborhoods where it was at the parties that the grown-ups were having. So yeah, it could be, in a really seedy part of town, or it might be in a mansion. Who knows, right? But assuming, right, normally if someone were going to get a drug like that, they'd have to go to do some pretty shady stuff. With alcohol, you can go pretty much on any corner and find a liquor store or a grocery store or even a market and get your drug. You can't do cocaine out in the open. You're not going to go to a baby shower and do cocaine. You're not going to go to a wedding and everyone do a line, right? Now, I know it sounds kind of crazy, but you see, this is what James, Sarah, and I think about and talk about a lot. What is the bloody difference? The difference is marketing. The difference is society condoning this drug use. Did you know that there was a study done and they measured the addictive qualities of drugs. They ranked them. They rated them by physical dependence created, psychological dependence created, and the pleasure generated by the drug. I'll read them to you. Number 1 is heroin. Number 2 is crack cocaine. Number 3 is nicotine. Number 4 is methadone. Number 5 is crystal meth. Then next is barbiturates. Then next is alcohol. So you go from crystal meth to barbiturates to alcohol. You know what's after alcohol? Cocaine. Yep. Cocaine is lower on the list than alcohol. And alcohol's up there hanging out with some seedy friends, huh? Now, if that doesn't blow your mind, I don't know what will. Because here's what we do in Project 90. This is the coaching. This is not to make you feel stupid, like, wait, that's not adding up. No, this is to empower you so that you find your own truth. Because, look, I bought that bill of goods. I was sold the idea that alcohol was fun, that it was necessary to help me cope with life, that, mommy juice is what we need. And then when I found myself in that phase of dependence, I thought, what the hell is wrong with me? How did this happen? When the truth is, you guys, the same thing happened to me that, if you're listening to this, has happened to you. The drug did its job, just like cocaine did its job on Joe. Wow. Huh. Have you ever thought about it that way? Isn't becoming dependent on alcohol so similar to that list that I read to you? Signs of drug use, signs of a drug problem. What's the difference? Was there anything on there that was different? Then why, when we develop an issue with alcohol, are we supposed to figure it out on our own? Why is it that there's something wrong with us? And then why is it that we're supposed to just use it once in a while, like at a wedding or New Year's Eve or Christmas? Like, you're not really going to have Christmas without toasting, are you? This is so that you can make sense of things, because right now things aren't making sense. I know they're not. I also know that just like Joe wasn't supposed to get rid of cocaine on his own, you are not supposed to get rid of alcohol on your own. And to feel pressured to do so, whether by yourself or others, is ludicrous. And that's why I bring up these stories. And the other story that I am going to tell you, the one I just did, I talked about Joe. Guess who the other character is in the story? You. You're the other character. It's your story, except instead of cocaine, it's alcohol. So just take that to heart, you guys. This is, I tell you these things not to make you feel bad. Like I said, it's to empower you so that you can stand back and look at this craziness and go, oh my gosh, I totally got roped into that. There's no dang difference, except I buy my drug at a store and Joe bought his cocaine wherever the heck you get cocaine. Street corner, dealer's house, I don't know. That's the only difference here. Maybe you can get hooked on cocaine a little quicker. Yeah. And yes, you can overdose on cocaine more easily because it's not really measured in a unit, a pure unit, right? Where alcohol has a proof and a bottle size. And chances are before you overdose on alcohol, you'll puke. It's our body's natural reaction to toxins, drinking a bunch of toxins, just like if you ingested, I don't know, whatever toxic chemicals you were pouring down your throat, your body would retch and you get rid of it before you could overdose. The difference is alcohol takes from us a little more slowly than some street drugs. It's a little more insidious, isn't it? But what lends itself to that is our conditioning. So it sounds crazy until it doesn't, until you see the truth. At Project 90, we're not brainwashing you. We are opening your eyes so that you can draw your own conclusions, so that you can have your own truth about the role alcohol plays in your life and the role you want it to play in your life going forward. Because right now, just like cocaine was making the calls in Joe's life, alcohol's making it in yours. To an extent, you wouldn't be listening to this otherwise. So again, the holidays are coming. If you don't do this now, what's going to change? If Joe were thinking of giving up cocaine before the holidays, would anybody tell him to wait until January? Or would they say, oh my gosh, man, yeah, go do it? Because if you don't, the holidays are going to be miserable. Why wouldn't they be? How is it different with alcohol? If you have this issue, I'm guessing you did last season, how's this year going to be any different? It's not. And it could be a lot worse. So please book that call with me. You have nothing to lose. It's not your fault that this happened. Alcohol is everywhere. It saturates our society, but it is your responsibility. Because once we see the truth, we can't unsee it. Once we learn about this, we can't unlearn it. So now you know, and go ahead, make the call, get in touch with me. I don't bite. I'm pretty nice. So yeah, go to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/schedule. You can book a call with me, Victoria. I can't wait to speak with you again. I'm looking forward to the call. And until next time, I hope you all have an awesome day.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I want to load you up with some free stuff. If you look in the show description, there's a link there to get my guide, which is the Alcohol Freedom Formula Guide. And in that guide, I will walk you through the process and system for successfully reducing or quitting alcohol. It's the same system and process that I give to my clients inside of Project 90. And if you would like to get your hands on that guide, you can click the link in the description part of this episode, or you can go to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/guide. Likewise, if you would like to be considered for Project 90 to join our community and get some accountability, some coaching, and have fun, achieve some goals over at least 90 days with our help and support, then you're invited to schedule a complimentary coaching call with one of my coaches. You can do that by clicking the link in the show description or going to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/schedule. Now, Project 90 is for over 30s only. And it's really for people who are ready to get long-term power over alcohol. You don't have to quit forever, but you will have to quit for at least 90 days with our support. Just a reminder, 95% of my content is free and plastered all over the internet. If you just Google James Swanwick and the word alcohol, you'll find that. For those of you who want additional support, if you want coaching, fun, accountability, if you realize that you can't do this on your own or you just plain don't want to, then I invite you to schedule that call and we can talk about if Project 90 is for you. If you would like to take some of my supplements, swanvitality.com is the website. I'll put a link in the show notes as well. I have a liver support product called Loving Liver, which I designed and specially formulated to help remove toxins from your liver after years of alcohol consumption. Again, there's a link in the show description. We've also got a green powder there, which turns into a green juice filled with amazing ingredients to support you and give you energy throughout the day. And there's also a magnesium product, which I take every night to help me prepare for sleep and to sleep through the night. So there's a few options there. Lastly, if this episode or the show in general has helped you or supported you in any way, I would so appreciate it if you would write a review. It really does help the show climb the rankings and expose the show to people who don't yet know about us. So if this show has benefited you in any way and you feel compelled to pay it forward, just writing a short little review, hopefully a nice one, will be so appreciated, and I will thank you immensely. Lastly, if you'd like to talk to me about anything at all, feel free to send me an email at james@alcoholfreelifestyle.com. I do read and respond to every email. And you can also follow me on Instagram at James Swanwick. Send me a message there. And I look forward to connecting with you soon. Catch you on the next one.